Oh, the furry fandom. Love it or hate it, the furry fandom is a subculture of people interested in the anthropomorphic arts that has been around for generations and generations, over 30 years to be exact. So the main question on everyone's mind is, what is a furry? Who is a furry and why is a furry? Why? I don't know. But who and what? I can answer that. With the help of my friends Google and ChatGPT, we can learn that a furry is an enthusiast for animal characters with human characteristics. In particular, a person who dresses up in a costume as such a character or uses one as an avatar online known as a fursona. Furries may be interested in creating or engaging with furry art, literature, and media that features these anthropomorphic characters. It is worth noting that being a furry is a hobby and does not necessarily imply any specific behavior or lifestyle outside of the furry fandom. Before you ask, yes, this thing is back. Why? I don't know. It's not really back because I've never really worn it, except in a video that I never uploaded because it was... Screw it. What is goodie in the hoodie? It's your boy ADHD, and welcome back to the channel. And today's video is a very special one. Now, I know a lot of you may not have wanted or even asked for this type of video, but I am curious, and I decided to do this myself. So, if you've been on my Instagram or my Discord for the past couple of months, you'll know that I am very interested and very vocal about my fascination with the anthropomorphics. Whether that's my fursona being a soldier fox or whether that's me doing crappy photoshops on my computer, you'll know that I am a very, very interested person in the anthropomorphics, aka the furry fandom. Okay, now that you're done making fun of me, today I have a very fuzzy friend by the name of Riv, and he's going to help us dissect some of the misconceptions that have been floating around the media over the past 20 years about what it's like to be a furry, whether that's dressing up in a fursuit. What do furs do in those fursuits? What is it like to go to a con? Is it safe for kids? And blah, blah, blah. We all know the sorts. So who is Riv and why is he on my channel? Well, it's pretty simple. Riv is a member of a YouTube channel called RL Furry Productions, which stands for Riv and Lurks Furry Productions. And basically what he does is he's a fursuiter who makes fur videos about how to be a furry, how to basically get into the fandom, things to expect, maybe some personal issues that he may be facing within the fandom, and just all kinds of things fuzzy. And I love it, and I am all 100% for it. So with the generosity of him giving up a couple minutes of his time, we are going to be interviewing him right here on this channel. Wow, we made it, guys. We made it. Long story short, I didn't want to seem like a total self-rooting asshole. So when he asked me whether I wanted to do voice or how I wanted this to be done, I decided to just simply ask him to do voice to voice, keep it simple, keep it cool, and keep it awesome. Without further ado, let's strap our fuzzy selves in and get straight into this.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up? How are you?
Not bad at all. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Hey, no problem at all. No problem at all.
What is goodie in the hoodie? It's your boy ADHD, and we are now live. We are now in the interview with Riv. So we are going to be now asking him 5 questions because we don't want to take up too much of his time and bombard him with 1,000 million questions. And we're going to start off by asking, how did you become first interested in the furry fandom? Was there a specific experience, an aspect that drew you in? Was it maybe something you saw on TV? How was that like?
Well, I first became aware of the furry fandom back in probably 2004, 2005 through a couple of TV shows. I think one of them was My Strange Addiction, and the other one was something similar. And it didn't showcase the fandom in a bad light necessarily, but neither of them made it look really positive. They made it look a little bit weird, so I kind of just put it on the back burner and said, not really interested in that. And then around 2016... I somehow discovered furry YouTube, and I started watching some of the YouTubers that were popular at the time, Hawthorne and Quartz Husky, and of course Majira, and a whole bunch of those, and started really getting interested in the fandom. And around that time, I said, hey, I've always loved cartoons. I've always loved anthropomorphic artwork. This is me. This is who I am. This is a fandom that I want to become involved with.
Yeah, my involvement is very recent, very, very recent actually, and it was kind of odd because I've always known about the furry fandom, and I've always known the actual side, not the misinformed side that a lot of people know. And I have a VR headset, and I was watching a convention video of a furry in a convention in VR, and that really spoke to me. It really, I saw the colors, all the wonderful people, the environment, everything just looked so happy, like a good time, like such a vibe. And I really thought maybe this is what I want to do. Maybe because I've always looked for fandom. I've always looked for involvement in some type of anime, video games, heavy metal, and I never found that. But the furry fandom, I really saw that and went, that's interesting. And that's kind of how I got into it, and I really think that's cool. And this brings me on to my next question. Now I know that a lot of people in the furry fandom have what are called fursonas. And this is where essentially this is you anthropomorphized, as I am aware, and you can create your persona however you want. And then there are characters which are a little different, as they are completely different, completely original makings that you can create yourself. And I wanted to ask you, can you describe your persona and the story behind its creation, essentially, and what aspects of your persona do you identify with the most, probably?
I'm a little bit unique, especially in the Western fandom world. It's a little bit more common in the Eastern furry fandom, like the kimono fandom, to be more character than persona. I'm definitely very much characters rather than personas. My characters don't necessarily represent me. They're almost like characters I created for a book or a screenplay or something. They really don't have a whole lot in common with me as far as personality or appearance or anything else. I do bring them into the human world a little bit and out of their own world I've created, obviously to do YouTube, and they play guitar and stuff like that. So there's some crossover with the story, but I definitely feel that both of my main characters are ones that I created more as kind of storybook characters rather than a representation of myself.
Cool. I like to hear that. That's very interesting. I know a lot of people have characters and they go completely wild, and they make their own imaginable animals. They maybe crossbreed animals. They'll have, like, I know there's like wolves, which are foxes and wolves and stuff like that. And then there are people that go more traditional and create just an anthropomorphic version of themselves, which is more, in a sense, more perfect in some ways, but is still very much who they are as a person. And I really like that. That's another thing that really brought me into the fandom, was that sort of whole persona idea. And this brings me on to my next question, which are, what are some of the biggest misconceptions that people may have about the furry fandom, and how would you respond to them, in the sense of, because obviously you wouldn't combat these in a real social media light, because that's just not a good idea, but if you had to address them to someone who is maybe spreading hate or misinformation, how would you respond to that person, per se?
Well, I think the biggest misconception that's been going around for decades, going all the way back to that TV show that I won't name back in 2003, is that the fandom is some type of fetish or adult thing primarily. And there's certainly that fringe of it, but that's not a defining factor, I don't believe, of the fandom. I believe the fandom is an anthropomorphic art and cartoon fandom first and foremost, and that's what it should be defined as. And I would just tell somebody who was hating on furries, who had that misconception, look, I mean, compare it to any other fandom. You know, look at the comic fandom or the Star Trek fandom. I'm sure there's a fringe in those fandoms that has adult interests related to it, but you wouldn't define Star Trek or the comic fandom by that, and you shouldn't define the furry fandom by that either.
Yeah, because I know that's another thing that a lot of people bring up, is the kink side, and I know that some people are into that, and that's fine, that's their thing, but as long as it's separate from the bigger whole of the fandom, as long as it's in its own place with AD accounts, After Dark accounts, for those who don't know, and things like that, I think that it's fine. But I also do agree that, yeah, there are plenty other fandoms where, you know, the whole of the fandom isn't kink related or sexualized, but there are some people that may be into that, so I agree with that. And my last question is, how has being a part of the furry fandom impacted your life, both positively and negatively? Are there any challenges or benefits that you have experienced as a result of your involvement in the furry fandom?
It has changed my life. Being active in the furry fandom has literally been a life-changing experience for me. I was extremely unsociable. I didn't really have any friends. before I joined the fandom, and it helped me come out of that social anxiety that I've had ever since childhood and really become a better person. It's allowed me to travel all over the country and actually once all the way to Australia for conventions. It's inspired me creatively to get back into doing creative stuff like playing guitar and collecting artwork. It's been overall just an overwhelmingly positive experience in my life. I can't really think of too much negativity. I mean, there's always going to be some haters out there, and there's always going to be some people that think that we're weird, and I certainly don't want to share my fandom involvement with people at work or some family members, but overall it's been incredibly positive. It's been something that just has been so important to me. I can't describe it. It's really opened me up as a person and allowed me to make friends that I never would have had otherwise, and allow me to be a creative and social individual. And that's something I struggled with for a long time before I discovered the fandom.
Yeah, because at least for me anyways, it's very true what you said, in that a big part of the fandom allowed me to, because my whole life I've been, I guess, quote unquote, by societal standards, weird. I've never really liked traditional things and traditional video games, traditional music, but the furry fandom really allowed me to understand that, yeah, I may be weird to other people, but to myself, that doesn't matter, right? I can be whoever. I've seen all the art, I've seen all the fursuits, I've seen all the stuff that goes into being a part of the fandom, and that really makes me feel like a part of a bigger community at large, and that I'm not, I guess, a weird alienated person from society. So I do agree with that. And well, thank you very much. I think that's all I really have for you today. I really wanted to thank you for coming on and giving me your time. I know having a job and videos and all might be time consuming, but I just, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love doing collabs with people, with other creators, and always happy to do it. And it was great talking to you.
You too. You too. Thank you very much, and I'll see you later. I'll see you around.
All right. Have a good one.
And there you have it, folks. There was my really embarrassing, really bad video where I took someone's time and I made zero good use of that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys liked it. I hope it opened your mind a little bit. I know that there wasn't a lot going on. I know that it wasn't like an hour-long podcast or anything, but again, it wasn't supposed to be. This was supposed to be something simple, something easy, about maybe 5-6 questions, maybe at most 8, just to kind of assess this person and what they do, and kind of get some more information out there about this fandom, and kind of give my thoughts on it, to kind of I guess make the timer go by and not make it a 2-second video. So like I said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys liked this video. And until next time, stay hyper. Peace out. Bye-bye. God, that was really embarrassing.